Yes, my G's. I'm going to show you how to make a quick and easy racing synth ARP in Serum. And for this ARP, it's kind of you're going to be programming the melody in the MIDI still. So the main ARP, when you hold it down, sounds like this. Okay, and I've played in a melody here for it to give it a nice racing kind of feel. And here's how it sits in the drums. So the melody I've created is I've just held down an E, which is the root note. Then we have these fast little glide notes at G here. And then it kind of goes up almost a whole octave up to D. And then we have a little fill down here where it sort of goes up to A and then A sharp and back down to A again. But the rhythm is always the same, and it's just an eighth note rhythm, so quite simple. Just one LFO here controlling the eighth notes. Yeah, it's sort of a bit, easy, easy to follow. That's everything. All the main things are going to be tracked to that, and then another LFO here doing a little variation, as you can kind of hear as it changes here. Okay, just for a bit of variation, it kind of changes up the tone of the sound a little bit. Almost weakens it a little bit as well. A little change in the filters as well there. So yeah, let's talk about the actual sound design then. So it's fairly straightforward. I do use quite a lot of effects because I just use them to try and improve the sound quality always, So I'll briefly discuss those as well. But mainly in the first section here, we can talk about especially the sort of warp modes here. So we've got all oscillators, all noise, everything being used. So the sub bass is just on a consistent level of 63%, -2 here. Then we've got oscillator A, which is actually, if I take this off, it's actually a triangle wave, So I use the diode to start the modulation essentially. So I've been doing this a lot recently, using distortion in the warp modes to create the movement, So I've put my LFO2, which is just this sort of, easy ramp down with a little curve and, a bit of smoothing. I put this on the diode, which is almost going from 0 to 100, pretty much. So that just really starts off the whole movement, And as you can hear, it kind of like goes up even more at the end, right? So my second LFO that does this sort of variation part, that's tracked to here, and it goes up on this knob here, right? So towards the end here, the whole diode knob goes up, and then you have less of that sort of dynamic movement, but more of just the distortion on its own, So anyway, that's the first part. Then the second part is the oscillator B, and this is a saw wave, but it's been low passed here. So again, with my main rhythm on this sort of eighth dotted note, I put the low pass filter on it this time instead of the diode, because the saw wave is quite aggressive in the high end. So I use the low pass filter in the warp mode to filter that high end out, I also unison things up to 3 voices here. And this is an octave higher than the sine wave, the triangle wave. And it's 7 semitones up as well, so it's forming a little bit of a power chord. Okay, and then I've got the PD from A. So it kind of just makes it a little bit darker and blends them together a bit more nicely, So that's at 50%. Then we've got oscillator C, and this one is again, as a triangle, but it's 2 octaves higher than the first one. And this time I'm using the diode 1 instead of the diode 2, and also using the low pass filter on this this triangle again, right? I can just check. It's definitely a triangle. Sometimes I get confused if it's a saw or a triangle, But yes, the diode 1. So this doesn't quite go up all the way. It's just 0 to 37. But this one adds a really nice sort of higher octave range, you know, part to the sound, you know, which I really like. So yeah, really makes it sound a little bit more higher pitched, you know. Anyway, next I have the noise on from 0 to 44% on the LFO2 here again. So most of the movements are just on the LFO2. The ones that are on the LFO3, this sort of variation is mostly in the filters here. But yeah, anyway, so bit of white noise going up to 44%, as I said, and then yeah, all of that goes into filter 1, right? And then filter 1 is a notch filter going from 86 up to 402, a little bit of drive, and that really beefs it all up and gives it a nice bit of punch, you know? Really gives it a nice punch there. So that filter's sort of going from 86 to 412. Yeah, really nice area there to sort of add that punch to the sound, you know? And then that goes all into filter 2, which has another little notch, but it's very subtle, this one. It's at about 300 hertz, only a tiny bit of drive because I start to sort of destroy the low end when I go too high. And then this one has a bit of movement just on this secondary LFO here, this variation LFO, LFO3. So it just changes the tonality a bit by moving that notch a little to the left. Okay, so that's all sounding great. So we've got to jump over to the effects now because that's pretty much everything done over here. So I first use the bode because I really like this to add a nice stereo feeling. So it's only down at 21%, but basically, yeah, I have the blur up to 33, and then I just drop the shift and the range down a little bit to the left to start the kind of frequency shifting movement. And yeah, just by having it in a little bit, it just gives you a slight bit of stereo warmth in with the sort of new harmonics, you know. I don't use the detuning in the hyper section, but I use the dimension for a little bit of extra reverb space. It's quite heavy, this one, 33%, but you really hear the difference. Okay, gives it all more of a stadium feel. Then I use the splitter, the low-high splitter. This really tightens everything up again, right? So we've made it all quite nice and big with the bode and the dimension, and then this just sort of tightens up everything that we've done. Just works quite well. So the diode 2 is the distortion mode that I use, and it's just on the high end from 570 hertz upwards because it's on the low-high splitter here, and I modulate the whole drive from 0 up to about 28%, and that's what's creating this kind of extra tightness and rhythm here. Okay. And I have this little movement where the low-high splitter frequency kind of drops down to 300 just on this LFO3, this variation LFO, just so I can make that little part at the end of the sound a little bit more different again, you know? Okay, next, a chorus. It's just sitting gently on everything at 20%. Just helps to gel it all together and give it a little bit more width again. Then I use the phaser. It's a phaser minus 48 filter here, and this one again, it has a bit of a movement on the cutoff just for LFO3, and it actually gets turned on for LFO3. So basically, it's actually off for the most of the sound, and the filter just comes up and moves as it comes up for this variation part. And it almost takes out a bit too much high end. So you could actually back that off a little bit. That's a little bit smarter there because it kind of lost a little bit too much volume. I noticed that at the beginning of this video as I was recording it. So that's one little adjustment I've had to do live. So that's okay though. Then I EQ it because it starts to get a little bit too bassy. Especially when you're stacking up all the drives on the filters. Basically, you've got the sub going through all of this as well, you know. You could route it separately, of course, but I quite like to have the sub in there to sort of gel things together when I'm distorting stuff. So I like to leave it in there most of the time, but it does quickly stack up when you keep driving everything when the sub's running through it all as well, you know. So at that point, I just balance out the low end. If it's gone too high, I just bring it down a bit with an EQ, you know, and I just boost the high end a bit. It's kind of like a bit of a seesaw, you know, taking out a little bit of low and giving in a little bit more high. I do that quite a lot during the sound design process. If it's too imbalanced, you know. Then, because I like it to be nice and bright still, you know, the sound. So then I've got a little convolution, just 14%. This one's the digital gated. Really nice natural one, nice and tight little convolution reverb. And then I've got a little ping pong delay as well. So the left and rights are 78 and then 90. So it's quite fast. But you know, turn it up and hear the timing and find the kind of vibe that you like, and then bring it down a bit. So I can just sit there to have a little bit of background detail. And then I'll just throw on a final little reverb as well, a big whole reverb. But only quite low at 6% or so. So then there you have it really. You know, you've got all of these effects stacked up. They all kind of, you know, one by one improve the whole sound quality. And they were quite necessary really, you know, because we're using quite simple wavetables, you know, just sort of triangles and saws with a bit of distortion on, you know. So running it through a lot of effects helps to refine it and make it more natural as well. So that's pretty much everything done and explained for this sort of racing ARP that I've made for you guys today. So, slurpy diddly do at the back of the video. Thanks for watching, my G's. I hope you learned a little bit about synthesis and sound design with Serum 2. I'm still, you know, no expert. I'm getting to grips with it, but I believe I've made quite a lot of cool sounds now. That many of those which are available on my website if you want preset packs for Serum 2, or also Vital, Faceplant, and Current. Check out my site for that. Also, I've got one-on-one lessons available. If you ever want a production lesson with me, book in via my calendar down below. You can email me if you want mixing and mastering work done as well. Plus, come along and join me on Patreon. We have a great community over there, and a lively Discord where we do feedback live streams. We'll be doing our next one soon as well, so come and join in for that. And that's it from me today. Leave a like and a comment, and subscribe if you're new. That's it from me. Goodbye. Much love.